Joe Biden will not be the nominee for the Democratic Party in 2024. This broke just before we came on the air, and I'm actually going to once again share my argument time with a guest as I am now buying into a theory that I was very skeptical of. But my producers couldn't believe this until they read it for themselves, and this is quite shocking. Headline NBC News: Biden allies worry son Hunter's indictment could strain the president's 2024 focus. The president has even lamented aloud that he might be dead before his son's case is resolved, according to a source close to the Bidens. Quote, the emotional toll continues to weigh heavily on the president and first lady, who approach the most sensitive family matters as father and mother above all else, according to a source familiar with their thinking. But the recent shift in their outlook has been dramatic, the source said. Biden, 80, has even since lamented aloud he might be dead before his son's case would be resolved, according to another source close to the Bidens. The president and first lady are even more reluctant to hear about any of the political implications from close aides who are resigned to the fact that Hunter's legal problems will likely worsen in the months ahead, this person said. Well, I've got two dueling clips before I share my monologue with a guest. Jonathan Capehart over at MSNBC is taking the tune that no matter what happens, you can't push out Kamala Harris.
Not only do Democrats calling for Biden to drop out not have their eyes on the prize, they seem to have forgotten what the prize actually is: the White House and the power that comes with it. From the rule of law to American democracy itself, too much is at stake for President Biden and Vice President Kamala Harris to cede the field to the twice impeached, 4 times indicted on 91 counts, out on bail or bond in 4 jurisdictions, former president and frontrunner for the Republican nomination. Biden and Harris are in the jobs now. Calling on them to abandon a re-election campaign they've already begun in earnest is beyond foolish. But what's even more troubling than the dump old Joe wave is the ferocious kick Kamala to the curb undertow.
Okay, so the next turn. Many Democrats won't endorse the idea of Kamala Harris at the top of the ticket. Now, Gavin Newsom has all the faith in Kamala Harris.
You and Vice President Kamala Harris go way back.
Yep.
You say that you came up together in San Francisco, knew each
Before
other.
we were in politics.
Before you were in politics. I'm sure you saw that former Speaker Emerita Nancy Pelosi, she heaped praise on Kamala Harris, but she declined to say whether or not she thought that the Vice President is the best person to be on the ticket with Joe Biden in 2024. Do you?
Of course she is. The Biden-Harris administration, masterclass in terms of performance. Bipartisan deals on infrastructure, bipartisan deals on guns and debt ceiling, on the CHIPS and Science
She's
Act.
the best choice.
I mean, by definition, if I think this administration the last 2.5 years has been one of the most outstanding administrations in the last few decades, and she's a member of that administration, she gets to lay and claim credit to a lot of that success. The answer is absolutely.
All right, here we go. I'm sharing my argument time with my next guest, director of Michelle Obama 2024, Joel Gilbert. The first couple of times you were on with it, I was skeptical, although I enjoyed our time together. I'm now buying in. I'm with you.
Okay, well, I think you're spot on, because Michelle Obama has been preparing to run for president, I think, for some years. I argue in my film and book that she's pretty much copying Barack Obama's path to the White House. Barack had a voter registration organization called Project Vote before he ran for president. Michelle has When We All Vote. She's out there registering people every day. Barack wrote 2 autobiographies. Sure enough, Michelle wrote 2 autobiographies, Becoming and The Light We Carry. And you saw, of course, that Barack introduced John Kerry at the 2004 Democrat convention. He was the keynote speaker. Michelle was the keynote speaker for Joe Biden in 2020. And quietly behind the scenes, the Democrats have set it up for Michelle. They moved the first primary out of Iowa, where she would have had to campaign in 100 counties, to South Carolina, which is a state Michelle claims as her adopted home state because her grandparents are from South Carolina. Also, half the Democrat Party electorate for the primaries are African American, and they moved their convention to Chicago, of all places, Michelle's hometown. So I'm predicting that Biden will drop out in November for any number of reasons, health or because he has to pardon Hunter or anything. And that will leave plenty of time for Michelle to get her signatures together for a December 23rd deadline to get on all the primary ballots. So I think it's coming, and I think even if Biden didn't drop out, Michelle could run and easily beat him badly.
All right, well, NBC just reported that a leak from the White House that Joe Biden is openly saying he thinks he's going to pass away before Hunter Biden's legal problems are resolved. That is, once that hits the main wire and shoots around, that is, Democrats are not going to know what to do with themselves. But they can't push out Kamala Harris. This is where this is what made me turn your way. They can't push out Kamala Harris, but they can't win with her. The only way to push her out and not destroy the party is to find a black woman more popular than her. And the only black woman more popular than her is Michelle Obama, who will immediately get all the endorsements of the tastemakers, starting with people like Oprah Winfrey. My theory now adds to this. I'm going to add this to the theory that they will promise her unlimited support for a run for governor of California, while simultaneously Gavin Newsom either joins the ticket or runs for the Senate. Could you see Gavin Newsom on the ticket with Michelle Obama?
Yes, I could see Gavin Newsom as a vice president, just like Donald Trump, who had no real executive experience in politics, got Mike Pence, who's a former governor, that kind of balanced out the ticket. So Michelle would do very well with Gavin Newsom. But the argument that Kamala somehow even people would care that she's bypassed has to do with the fact that she's, at least white people think she's African American, and that's a big core voting bloc for the Democrats. The reality, though, is that Kamala Harris is not African American. Her father's from Jamaica and her mother's from India, and Kamala grew up in Canada, of all places. So she really has no experiences with the black community and nothing in common with them. And I don't think black people really consider her to be African American. So I think it's going to be pretty easy for Michelle Obama to come in, and no one will give a second thought to Kamala Harris.
Well, the woman of color thing, I've always said if Biden had to bow out, he would not go down in disgrace. He would be seen as he would bow out as the champion who got rid of Orange Man Bad. He would make a statement that it's time for a woman of color to be president, meaning most likely Kamala. But with that demographic designation, the only way to make it, they couldn't just push out Kamala and make it Gavin Newsom or some other white male Democrat. It would have to be somebody that brings even more on that level to the table. And not only does Michelle Obama bring that, she brings Barack back.
More than the Obama years. Michelle's even talked in her interview. She talks about we didn't have any scandals, and she can talk about the nostalgia. Remember how much you loved the Obama years. But the Democrats clearly are turning away from white males. And it's because of the inroads that Donald Trump made in the black community with prison reform, with school choice, with a booming economy that attracted so many minority voters. The Democrats have appointed minorities and blacks to positions like UN ambassador, minority leader in the House, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, press secretary. And their message to black people is rather insulting. It's, we look like you, so you should vote for us. But that's the direction they're going. So Michelle Obama checks all the boxes. And now the media can say, well, if you don't agree with Michelle, you must be racist and sexist. So she really allows them to function in their element, which is using race and gender against their opponents.
Michelle Obama is it. They're going to get Taylor Swift. They're going to get The Rock. They're going to get Oprah. It's going to be the entire mega Hollywood entertainment machine. It's a perfect plan. I got to be honest with it. And I know no one in the Trump campaign would take my advice on this. I would say you can't do on the debate stage with Michelle Obama what you did with Joe Biden. I got to leave it there. Thanks for joining us.
Okay, salemnow.com. You can watch my movie online.
That too.